This webinar, brought to you by University of Houston Continuing Education, originally aired on February 9th, 2010. This is Performance Management. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. For more information, visit uh.edu/empower.
So let's look at the difference between an acknowledgement and a compliment, because they can be considered similar. So I'm going to use a non-performance related acknowledgement as an example. Let's say you see someone who has just gotten a new haircut. Your response would most likely be, "Wow, I love your new haircut," or "Your hair looks great." Those are compliments and are not acknowledgments. An acknowledgement would be, "You got a haircut." That's it. No "I think" or anything that is an opinion. See, we take those phrases out. You simply state the fact that caused you to notice. Another one, "Wow, that suit looks good." The acknowledgement is simply, you are wearing a suit. So when you're going to use acknowledgement, you really have to pare it down, and this is extremely important. You have to pare it down to what actually drew you in to notice. Saying things like "you look good," or in these non-performance management related discussions, is a good way to practice. So one of the things that Madison asked us to do in the Coaching Tools for Leaders class is to practice acknowledgments every day. I think if you are willing to do this and really work acknowledgement in the parameters that I've discussed here, then you'll find that this tool becomes really valuable not only in performance management, but in how you deal with people. People open up when you directly acknowledge them. So how do we use this in performance management? It's an awesome tool when used right away, in the moment, and then you move on. So of course, as I said before, I suggest practicing acknowledgement in other ways before using it for performance. And what makes it effective is when you can make the statement without any inflective cues as to your mood. Let's say someone is late to a meeting you're holding. That's a performance issue. When they arrive, you acknowledge them. You're 15 minutes late. That's it. Nothing more. If someone misses a deadline, you missed the deadline. It's very different from, "I noticed that you were late to the meeting today and I want you to fix that." What makes this tool so powerful? You are simply letting the employee know that you recognized it. You are really saying that you noticed. While this won't stop every performance issue, it is very effective for dealing with performance in the moment. I learned this tool over the summer and began using it with my team and have found it to be very effective. Moving on to our third reason, forces beyond our control. We avoid addressing performance issues because we believe the issue is due to some external force or something outside the area of organizational concern. There really is no such thing as closing the briefcase, and that meaning that we leave work at home and home at work. I believe this idea is receiving a well-deserved debunking. The fact is, we do bring work with us from home, we do bring things with us from home to work, and sometimes life can get in the way. 6 years ago, I had a significant event occur in my life. About 1 week after that event, my boss came to visit me. He closed the door to my office, and he told me he had noticed a change in my behavior at work, and he was concerned. He didn't ask me, but I explained the situation to him without much detail and apologized. He offered me to let me use some vacation time for the rest of the week, which I did. And as the meeting ended, he told me that he understood life gets in the way sometimes and how much he needed me at 100% on the project we were working on. I'm sure that before he came to speak with me, he heard about what was going on. The fact is, we do bring things with us from home to work, and sometimes life can get in the way. We don't need to pry to find out what's going on. We simply acknowledge, there's that word again, that we have noticed. And honestly, if the issue is affecting performance, I believe that it is an organizational concern. Finally, not addressing a performance issue when we observe it is a missed opportunity to positively impact an employee. You see, oftentimes we walk past a performance issue and miss an opportunity. Not addressing the performance issue when you observe it is a missed opportunity. You shouldn't lower the bar. And I'm sorry, I'm going to skip ahead. I clicked too far ahead, so I'm going to jump over to reason number 4, and then I scrolled down too far. Finally, getting back on track, we have and finally, and this is probably my favorite reason when people tell me that performance goes unaddressed. We feel like the employee should know. I hear this a lot. Well, you know what? They should just know that when you work in a professional office environment, you can't be flibberty jibbing on the who's-y what's-its. I mean, anytime I hear that, and quite often I hear it, I know that we're dealing with the if you could read my mind performance management. Our response to this, if any, is usually some broadcast memo about a policy that no one is really following to the letter, and we just want to remind everyone that use of flibberty gibbets should be limited on company who's-y what's-its. Then we dust off our hands, hang up our supermanager cape, and believe that performance management will never haunt us again, because if they didn't know before, they should know now. In the case of the they should know betters, one can almost always find a discrepancy in what the manager says and what the manager's actions are. It is simply human nature to test boundaries. And in general, when your actions and your words do not agree, people will believe your actions. It's simply human nature. If you say the boundary is here, and then you sit quietly as people walk over it, they will believe that the boundary really is not there, and in the end, what they do know is that what you say is a boundary really isn't. So, kind of as a matter of summary, you see oftentimes when we walk past a performance issue, we actually miss a crucial opportunity to positively impact an employee. An opportunity to tell our employees that what they do is so important that when and how they do it changes, we notice it and that we need them back. The unique difference is we don't lower the bar. We simply remind the employee of their value and how the organization depends on them performing at an acceptable level. I do not need to tell my boss what's going on in my life. The most important part of any exchange is they noticed. You're saying your work is crucial, and I've noticed the change. So, finally, being aware of and addressing poor performance simply takes less effort when you do it early. It's just easier than when you wait until much later. When we deal with the first issue we recognize, when we address performance drops early, we can do it more quickly and effectively. When we wait, we have to engage in a much longer process to bring someone back. Remember, objective compromising performance issues don't pop up overnight and can't be fixed overnight either. The wise gardener, as they say, looks for weeds on their hands and knees rather than wait to see them above the produce. So in conclusion, be proactive instead of reactive. Look for potential trends and prepare a response. Ultimately, the point of all this is to help you gain some insights into how effective performance management really is proactive instead of response-driven. It's trend activated. It's saying, wait a minute, this could be a problem in the future. Second of all, dealing with performance issues early on lets your people know you are being attentive and what they do is important. Now, I mean attentive, not micromanaging. That's another webinar altogether. Third, you can use tools like acknowledgement to immediately address a performance issue and help nudge an employee back on course instead of waiting until they are so far away from acceptable performance that it is almost easier to let them go. And finally, by setting the example for what we expect performance-wise, we give our teams an understanding of what we expect from them.